Hello and welcome to Good Morning Vibrations, the format of the digital TV channel of the German-speaking issue Forbes. My name is Andrea Gläsemann, I'm senior editor, and I'm happy to start the day with you. Under the theme, The Morning Makes the Day, Diversity Makes the Difference, in this format, I meet a lot of different personalities, talk with them about their career, what makes them successful, and what we can learn from them. So today, it's absolutely a pleasure to welcome Reshma Ramachandran as my guest today. She is Hitachi ABB Power Grids Group Vice President in Zurich in Switzerland, and she has 2 decades of experience across 13 different countries in 3 different continents in the fields of business and digital transformation and technology and innovation. She's also an author, mentor, and strong advocate of women in STEM and diversity and inclusion. And today we are gonna talk about how to drive change and innovation in organizations, how to empower people in your organization, which skills really make a difference, and the importance of diversity and inclusion in STEM. So Reshma, it's absolutely a pleasure. Welcome you here today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's totally a pleasure and an honor to be with you, Andrea.
So let's start with the morning routine question, because it's the common opinion that successful people have a certain morning routine. So that's why I want to ask you, do you have a certain morning routine?
I do. Actually, I'm a very early morning person. So I wake up anywhere between 4 and 5, and I start my day with praying. So it really helps me, be grateful, remember the things that actually works in my life and I'm happy for. This keeps me grounded. And I'm also an avid reader. So I read at least 1 book a week. So morning is really the time that I actually read. And I also love to write. So this is also the time when, it's really quiet. The family is still not awake yet. It gives me a lot of me time. And I do all of this with a cup of chai.
So as I mentioned, you have a lot of experience in reinventing organizations, in driving innovation. So what shaped your experience in being a business leader?
I think experiences are what shapes us, right? So I'll start with where I grew up. So I grew up in the rural part of India. And for those of us who know India, especially the rural part, things don't come by very easy. So I grew up without electricity, which meant that, you had to study under candlelight or petroleum lamps if you had to ace in your studies. We also didn't have access to public transportation, clean drinking water, or access to medicines. So if you fell sick, basically you had some home treatment. So all of this kind of gives you something which is deep inside you to say that, if you have to change things, you need to first believe that you have a choice. Because I think most of us, when we are bogged down with external things, we kind of believe that we don't have a choice. And I think this is what truly shapes me as a business leader. I fundamentally believe that we have a choice to change. And then it's really unlocking the potential of power to change. So this is what, both in terms of personal and business transformation, I would say this is what truly powers me. And this is what is my identity as a business leader, the choice to change.
So you mentioned a really important aspect. You said that, empower yourself and people. So how can a business leader empower the employees so that they can unfold their full potential?
So I think I will jump into some of the things that we would have probably discussed later. So I think true empowerment comes with true inclusion. I think in order for us as business leaders to unlock the potential of employees, stakeholders. I would just say stakeholders. It's not just employees. It's probably suppliers you work with, just people, because majority of us work with people and not yet with machines. It's about making everyone feel that they have a voice. They have the power to contribute. They have an opinion in the change that we are trying to make, both at an organizational level and at a social level. So I think for me, when I talk about empowerment, it's truly about, making everyone feel that they belong. They have a place at the table. They have a voice at the table. And if you don't really do that, I don't think empowerment really comes, because then you're not taking charge. You're waiting for someone else to actually come and give you the instruction or tell you what to do, because you don't believe what you say or what you do is actually valued. So I think empowerment starts fundamentally with inclusion.
And when talking about unfulfilled potential, it's also about skills. What would you say, which skills play an important role, and especially for the future?
If you look at the past, I would say 40 to 50 years, we have actually focused a lot on hard skills. So when we talk about technology, you need to be an engineer to be in technology. If you talk about finance, you need to have a degree in finance. So I think we have focused a lot on the hard skills. I would say if you look at the past 5 years, the average life of a skill, any skill you take, has come down drastically. Today, we estimate the life of a skill to be just 5 to 6 years. This is dramatic. This is drastic. If you take, like our parents, for example, the skills that they had lasted for about 40, 50 years, which is a lifetime of an employee. So going forward, what I see, especially COVID-19 pandemic has revealed, I would say, this is more like a preview. Going forward, I think 3 things will define how the skills look like. One is curiosity. So I think we need to be eternal learners. If we don't learn, as I said, skills last for like 5 to 6 years. We are out. Then it's about consistency. So you can be curious, but you need to be consistently curious. And last but not the least, especially when we are talking so much about machines taking over, this is creativity. So the creative side of humans, whatever we call, anything that we call humility, empathy, compassion, all this is really, truly the creative side of humans. This is what is going to stay. So I would say the 3 C's: curiosity, consistency, and creativity. These are the 3 skills I think that is going to change the landscape of employment forever.
And having a look not only at the individuals, but also at the whole company, what drives innovation and what are the big challenges when you want to drive innovation in your company?
So I think, again, here, I just want to come back a bit to the human psychology part. So I think as humans, we are very linear thinking. Just to give an example, we have the mandatory schooling, 16 years, you go to school, then the linear way of thinking is you go to a university, you acquire a degree, you come to a organization and you work and you retire. You might change organizations, but this is linear. Innovation does not necessarily run on linear thinking. Innovation is not linear. So all the disruptions that we have seen in the past 10 years, nothing has been linear. So take Uber, take Airbnb, take Tesla, none of that has been linear. So I think for innovation, what is important is an exponential thinking. This is unknown. This is completely not known. You are not doing an incremental change. You are actually coming up with something that is completely new. And for that, I think what is also important is diverse perspectives. So we are all used to, as I said, as fundamentally as human beings, we are very used to linear way of thinking. And what happens when you put a lot of similar people, and when I say similar, it's not just similar looking, similar education, similar background, similar degrees. What happens is that we tend to think linear. So I think to truly innovate in an organization, you need to have diverse perspective and you need to have the analytical ability. It's not only a questioning of why things are happening the way it is happening. It's also a question of asking as a team, as an organization, asking what is going to stay. Some things will never change, right? Like if you take our customers, I don't think our customers are ever going to come and say, we are okay paying you more for the same products. They always want it cheaper, right? Less expensive. So I think for innovation, and this is something I would say, to drive innovation, it's really the exponential thinking, it's analytical ability. So you ask questions at every stage, and this is why diversity matters and inclusion matters, because we need to encourage those kind of vibes. We need to have it. In my team, I always say, if you're not asking questions, we're probably doing something wrong.
Yeah. Now we talked a lot about innovation, technology, and a little bit about diversity. How diverse are the different parts of STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and how to drive diversity and inclusion in that different sectors?
That's a topic very close to my heart. So you need to really keep the time and tell me to stop. Data, and I talk about data a bit here. over the years, over past 30 years, I would say, the number of women in STEM has gone up. So today we have, if you take university undergrads, you have about 50% women. About half of them go and pursue masters. But when it comes to choosing careers in STEM, that drops down. So about 20% of women enter in the STEM field in professions. And if you take a 20-year span, it drops down to half again. So it's about 10 to 13% is the statistics. Now, I believe one of the reasons why we don't have enough women in STEM is because we just don't have role models. We don't have anyone to look up and say, you know, that's who I want to be. She has done it, she's been there, and you know, she's doing it great. She can have it all. Probably not have it all, but you know, at least she has everything that she wants. So one is role modeling. I think we are very bad at that. And that brings us to the question as to why we don't have enough women and minorities in STEM. This is because, you know, I think it's again the human psychology that we want to hire people, we want to keep people, decision making, when it comes to decision making, it's all same kind of people. And I have to be very candid. So when we look at STEM field, it's all white males that we see. So we are kind of creating a club, kind of a barrier, not letting, you know, diversity come in at all, right? And this is where I go back to inclusion a bit. I think it's also good to ask when we talk about STEM especially, and this is where a lot of innovation is happening. You take medicine, you take technology, you take digital field. This is where innovation is happening. I encourage people to ask this question. Isn't diversity good for innovation? Diversity is the only thing actually truly helps us in innovation, nothing else. You know, as I said, skills don't last. So we can't say, you know, a skill is what is going to take us there. So we need diversity. So what is important is to understand the economics of innovation. And economics of innovation comes back to diversity. So the more and more business leaders ask this question, because I think business leaders understand the terminology of money, the financial part of it, I think we can kind of break the barrier. We can have more women and minorities, which means we will have more of role modeling, which is kind of a, you know, the Doppler effect. Then it keeps going.
Thank you. Having a look at the time, I want to ask you one last question. Which advice would you give young women for their career?
I think the single most important advice I have received and I keep following is that, you know, you always have the power of choice. Choose, and choose to stay in STEM. Because if you don't, and I say this, and I do it myself, you know, all the hard days that I have, I give myself this advice as well. If you were to leave the STEM field, you are actually not only not doing a favor for yourself, also for all the women who have to come behind you, come after you. So you need to put up with all the hardships because we need pioneers. So every woman who decides to choose STEM and stay in STEM, you know, think about all the other women for whom you can be role models.
Thank you. Thanks for taking the time and for your valuable insights, Reshma. And I hope you guys out there enjoyed the session as much as I did. And I hope we will see us soon. Stay healthy, stay in business. Bye.